Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm Chris Bianchi, and in just a few moments' time, we are going to go out to a news conference from Governor Jared Polis, where he's going to give us a better idea about just how big of a tax return that you, myself, and all full-time Colorado residents will receive as a result of a stronger than expected budget and a budget surplus. Now, under the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, or TABOR, the state of Colorado is required to give back excess funds to residents like you and myself, assuming that you are a Colorado resident, and that number will be at least $750 for individual filers and at least $1,500 for joint filers. That is based on a forecast that came out of the Joint Budget Committee update this morning. Now, because it is a forecast, that number is subject to either move down or move up, but again, they said this morning that number should be at least $750 for individual filers and at least $1,500 for joint filers. But again, we should get a bit more clarity from Governor Polis in the next few moments on that. Now, just to kind of back things on up, TABOR, which was passed back in 1992, requires that excess funds are returned to the taxpayers. So again, us full-time residents, and if you have not filed your tax break or your taxes yet, reminder, you have until next Thursday, the end of the month, to fill out form DR010 form. That's your individual tax return here in the state of Colorado. And if you do file by June the 30th, you are eligible to receive that check. And by the way, checks are expected to go out in either August or in September, which is earlier than usual. That may have something to do with the upcoming midterm elections, of course, in November. I will say that Governor Polis has said that Coloradans need the money now with rising prices, rising gas prices in particular, but of course, inflation affecting all aspects of our economy at this point. But again, in a few moments' time, we should get a bit more clarity on just how much our individual and joint tax refunds will be as a result of the state budget, stronger than expected state budget. So again, we're going to have a bit more clarity coming up on that in the next few minutes. So obviously a fairly important news conference that you'll be hearing from Governor Polis. Again, checks expected to be sent out in either August or September. Just how much will be on that tax return will be coming up. We should find out a bit more about that coming up in the next few moments. So be sure to stay tuned here on 9 News Plus for the upcoming news conference from Governor Jared Polis.
Which one are we doing the reveal on?
We'll do both.
We'll do both. Okay. Which is which?
That's joint.
Joint and individuals. Come on up here, everybody. Come on behind me. And we'll get started in just a moment. No?
Am I speaking? I'm speaking.
No. Governor Polis, Treasurer Young, Rachel. Here. So, back in April, we announced an important piece of our Saving People Money agenda. When we started the year in January, we really focused on finding 50 ways to save people money. I even sang the Paul Simon song, 50 Ways to Save You Money. We're excited now to have gotten done over 100 ways to save you money. They're all being rolled out. Some are permanent, like the cost of park passes going from $84 to $29 a year. Others are for 6 months, a year, 2 years, the big property tax cut, 2 years. This is a one-time help for you and your family. And we announced that we were going to do rebate checks for every Coloradan for $400, $800 for joint filers. This was going to be moved up. These are refunds that would have been done close to a year later. Make sure that they weren't spent on other tax credits or other special interest projects. They went right back out the door to you. Well, since then, Colorado has had a very strong economic performance. And it's a weird time because our economy is doing so well, and yet everybody's feeling the pressure of increased prices. And so the fact that we've done so well has allowed us to increase the amount of this refund. So today, we are proud to announce what Coloradans will be getting back, and we're going to reveal for joint filers how much families are going to get. $1,500 for joint filers, and for individuals, $750. These are the actual checks. Well, they're reproductions of the actual check, but it says your name here because if you file taxes on time, as over 90% of Coloradans did, you will automatically get this in the mail this summer. You don't have to do anything else. You'll get it in late August. Now, if you have an extension, as long as you file by June 30th, which gives you another week and a half, as long as you file by June 30th, you will get these in August. Now, the last date for anybody with an extension is October 17th. If you wait past June 30th and file in October, you don't lose out on this refund. You just won't get it till January. Obviously, it can't go out to you before you file. So you get it next year instead of this year. But over 90% of Coloradans have filed on time. You're already in the system. You will get this rebate check, $750 if you filed as an individual, $1,500 if you file jointly. And today we're just joined by a few of the Coloradans that will benefit from the Colorado cashback. Rachel Garcia and her daughter, Ana Lucia, and the Locke Nuanez family, Alice and Ted and their 2 kids. But it could just as easy be you. Because really everybody watching this hopefully filed their state taxes, most of you by April. Some of you who got an extension will do it by June 30th. You're going to be getting this too. So it's really time to start thinking about what you want to do with these resources. Is it a vacation for your family? Is it savings for college or retirement? Is it a night out on the town? Is it helping replace some of the furniture in your home? Is it just dealing with the rising costs? This should more than pay for instance, your increased gas costs, or is it maybe going towards rent? So everybody, no matter what your income level, you'll be getting $750 back as an individual, $1,500 back as a joint filer. And this wouldn't be possible without having one of the strongest economic recoveries in the nation. And that's why we didn't know this data when we said it would be $400 per person, $800 per couple. The economy in Colorado has outperformed by a lot those initial projections. We just saw this in the data that was presented to the state legislature and the Joint Budget Committee today. We have a 3.5% unemployment rate. That's below the national average. We've recovered more than all the jobs that were lost during the pandemic. and we have very strong economic growth. Now, all this is in the face of rising costs, which is why we want to get this money out to you as quickly as possible, because you know what to do with it better than the government. Now, again, to get the rebate by the end of August, early September, file your taxes by June 30th. Most of you already have by April. For those who requested extension, get them in. I want to thank Senate President Steve Fenberg, Senate Majority Leader Dominic Moreno, Speaker Alec Garnett, Majority Leader Escar for their work on this legislation, Mark Ferrandino, the head of our Department of Revenue, the entire Department of Revenue. Today we're joined by Amber Egbert, who represents the Department of Revenue. I appreciate her joining us. We're also joined by Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera, Office of Saving People Money on Healthcare, another key area that we want to reduce your costs so you can hold on to more of your hard-earned money. And of course, thank you to Treasurer Dave Young, who you are about to hear from. Treasurer Dave Young's support and efforts to make this a reality, his work on the implementation of this, working with him in the legislature. We wanted to make this as seamless and easy as possible to get these out, because we know that you need the money because of costs going up. So we wanted to get it quick, easy. His input in that was absolutely critical in getting it done. And with that, I'll turn it over to Treasurer Dave Young.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Treasurer.
Thanks for the kind words and your hard work on this effort. Appreciate that, Lieutenant Governor. Very great to have you working on this as well. And I appreciate the fact that the families have joined us today. Really looking forward to hearing from them. This spring, alongside Governor Polis, I had the opportunity to speak with Coloradans as we toured the state to see how funding from the American Rescue and Recovery Act was being put to action in our local communities. Then and now, we continue to hear directly from folks who are desperately struggling simply to make ends meet. Coloradans are paying more for everything, having to choose between putting food on the table or gas in the car. More and more families are relying on food banks to feed their families. Rising costs in healthcare are forcing people to put off visiting the doctor or refilling prescriptions. And while we have a record number of folks with growing mounds of medical debt, increases in rent and mortgage rates are being felt across the state, from Greeley to Pueblo and from Grand Junction to Sterling. While we need to tackle inflation at the national level, we're already taking action to reduce costs here as a state so that people can hold on to more of their hard-earned money. And in this crucial time for us, we need to get tax refunds back to people. As State Treasurer, I'm committed to closely working with Governor Polis and the Department of Revenue to get money back to people as quickly as possible, providing much needed relief to Coloradans and their families as inflation and costs of living continue to rise. The Treasury will ensure that there is sufficient cash flow to get money back to Coloradans. We'll do that by doing what we do every day, stressing safety, liquidity, and yield as the key policy goals for all the funds that are entrusted to us. We are committed to getting money into the hands of Coloradans sooner to help ease the financial pain that continued COVID economic crisis is causing. So I thank you for being here today, and I think I am turning this over to Rachel Garcia and her daughter Annalisa. Thank you for being here.
So you can keep that check as a souvenir when you go home. Okay? You'll get the real one. Your mom will get the real one in a few weeks.
Thank you, Dave.
You bet.
Thank you, Governor and Lieutenant Governor. So Annalisa and I are planning to use this money to offset the cost of the rising gas costs, because we decided to do a staycation here, keep the money circulating in Colorado and the Denver area. So that's what we're going to do.
Thank you. And we now have Allison Nuanis, a joint filer. So we have example individual filer, and again, you can keep that and put it in your wall in your room. And individual filers, $750 refund. Joint filers, because it's two people, $1,500 refund. Allison?
Thanks for having us. Thank you, Governor. So we're expecting to have some rising costs, not only from inflation, but from our kids growing. So we have some larger bikes that are needed, and I think we're going to hopefully put that back into a local business as we're going to size up the kids' bikes and We also just really like to support our local restaurants, so we'll be hopefully spending a bit of this money eating out some really good food.
Thank you. And as everybody's thinking about it, I know you are too, so we appreciate obviously spending in local businesses, helping to grow our Colorado economy, but whatever your family needs, whatever you need, right? For some, it's discretionary, it's going out more, it's going on vacation. For others, it just covers rising costs like gas or rent, and we know that you know what to do with it, and we're gonna get this to you as quickly as we can, and we're thrilled that because of Colorado's strong economy, it's higher than initially projected. With that, we're happy to take some questions.
Governor, in the next 2 fiscal years, budget forecasters expect TABOR excess, so this will happen again. Will you push for early checks to go out in the next 2 fiscal years if that money is available?
Well, in general, the earlier the better. So certainly there's no sense in having the government hold on to money that it later has to refund. So we're happy to figure out how we can do this in a quicker way, in a more regular basis. And have that discussion, and that really, given the urgency of price increases now, we certainly wanted to get this piece done right away because we know that people need the money and we want to get it out as quickly as possible.
And in a similar mechanism with the flat rate, not tiered, the 6-tier?
Well, there is going to be some of all of those. There's currently 3. There were 2 TABOR refund mechanisms in statute. This added a 3rd. There's an income tax cut. Every Coloradan will benefit from paying a lower income tax rate next year. That's our 2nd income tax cut that we've delivered in my administration. One was a vote of the people. This one is in the refund formula. There will be money that will be refunded in the 6-tier mechanism next year as well. If you saw the projections, it's the amount that's on top of the cost of this. This is somewhere around 80-ish% of the 80 to 85% of the surplus goes out this way now quickly. Did that answer your question?
Well, I guess in future years, if in the next 2 fiscal years there's enough money to do,
Look,
would you do it like this?
Yeah, I would just say in general, again, right now the call of the moment is people need money now to deal with rising costs. This is like a super easy call. Get the money out. People need it now, not next year, not someday, now. We're always happy to look at better ways to do this in the future, and we're happy to engage in a discussion with Republicans and Democrats in the legislature.
And just one final question. Both the budget forecast today said the risk of a recession is low, but members of the JBC seem a little skeptical about that. I wonder personally if you feel that Colorado's going to enter a recession in the coming months.
I know that we're entering whatever the future brings in a stronger position than many states. We have lower than average unemployment. We also have a significantly higher workforce participation rate. It's the 3rd in the nation, 5th, 2nd. Okay, I'll repeat that. Not only do we have a lower unemployment rate than the national average, we also have the 2nd highest employment participation rate in the country. These, not only will the $750 and $1,500 help Coloradans deal with rising prices, but much of that, as Allison said, will also be spent in local businesses, further strengthening the economic growth, our restaurants, our stores, services, summer camps for kids, all of those things that people need. Anything else? All right. Well, everybody, I hope that everybody in Colorado is able to use these resources as you see fit. And with Treasurer Young, we're excited to get them back to you as soon as possible, and should be by late August. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hands can open those.